thoughts on playing Stephen F. Austin?
I'm just glad we're playing this Saturday, and we've got a home game, and you know, it's, to me, the most important thing was to get in and to get in a position to get your first win, and at least we get a home football game, and we got somebody to start studying now.
Do you know anything about Stephen F. Austin at all?
I really don't. I know they got a new football coach here recently, so he hasn't been there that long. And it's not the same coach that we played years ago or a few years back when they came in here. So I'll have to go back, and I really don't know anything about him. I haven't watched him this season. So, but Stephen F. Austin has always been a good program. It's always a solid program that we know the name, that makes it a very strong program. So, and if they're in the playoffs, they're always good. So, no, looking forward to it though. And a home game is big. Just to get home and to get started in the playoffs with a home game, I think is very important to create some momentum and to sustain our momentum we have.
I don't know how much time you spent trying to calculate where you might end up, but did you get where you thought you'd be about in terms of the bracket and where you
I never studied it because I did that years ago and wasted a lot of time doing that. Never was right. So this was just more like to wait, and but at the same time, you know, the only thing that you were trying to weigh was could you fight your way into a seated position, because then you get the home field advantage for a few weeks and a week off. So that was the only thing I was trying to gauge. But I think we were at that stage that we're right there in the bubble if we were going to get one or not. So that's why when I came in today, it was just a matter of get ready for this weekend. And I thought we'd have a home game no matter what, our first round game, whether it was this week or next week, and get this thing going.
Coach, given the last couple of years, what is the balance between relief today and happiness between, you know, getting back into the play?
Well, that's a great question, because there is. It's exciting. You can see the players. I mean, it's exciting when you see them here on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock to see who they play. I mean, that's the cool part about it. That's why you do all what we do, is try to get to this day and the excitement that it brings and the anticipation. But for us, it's also, there's a relief factor because of where we're at one stage of the season and what we had to go through. If you looked ahead at that point, it looked bleak, but it's a relief, but yet it's a very satisfying feeling that they did what they did the past 5 weeks to get here and to put themselves in a great position going into the playoffs right now. So, you know, it's probably a good thing that we continue to play right now.
Any thoughts on the league getting 5 teams in, Coach?
Yeah, the league's always been strong. I mean, when you look at, I think the non-league schedule is what got 5 in. I think we were 27-1 or 26-1 or something like that, non-league play. And there's a lot of wins against teams that are in the playoffs from our league preseason or early in the season. So it's a strong league. It probably is. It's surprising that 5 are in because it's unprecedented. You know, I mean, there's been years past we're trying to get in with 8-3, and we didn't get in. And now we got 5 teams in. So I think it says something to the strength of the league, and hopefully we'll see what happens as it transpires to the playoffs now.
Coach, how satisfying is this moment, given the last 2 years missing it out and the start to this season and the way this team rallied, just to get back to the playoffs?
Well, it is satisfying. It's a calming feeling for 24 hours that you get to enjoy this part of it, because you just wanted to get this football team in it, to give this crew, because this is a great class. It's a great football team as far as people, so you wanted to get them in. And missing it last year was really hard because of what we went through last year. So it was big to get them there this year, and we had a slow start, but you know, they picked it up, so it is. There's a relief, there's a satisfying feeling, and yet there's an anticipation feeling of what could happen now if we can continue to grow.
We're playing a 7 o'clock game. That's the first time I think you played at night this year, correct?
Yeah, 7 o'clock game. We're going back to old school. It's the way it used to be. Many of our games around here used to be at 7 o'clock, and you know what? For here, I think it's a great deal, because I think this time of year and coming off Thanksgiving break, a 7 o'clock game is probably a good thing for our fans, and you know, we're at home at 7 o'clock, so it makes it a little different than maybe being on the road team at 7. But we'll have to adjust a little bit on that. We haven't had a night game yet, but you know, it's a playoff game. You can play this thing anytime, and players will be ready.
Mark Breon had a walking boot on, so you could be okay for Saturday?
I quite honestly haven't talked about it, and I'm surprised Xavier doesn't have one on too. So sometimes those things are precautionary just to take stress off it, but I have not talked to him, and I haven't seen our injury report from last night. But They all walked off the field, so, but usually overnight those things swell up, so we'll see where he's at in the morning or when we take the boot off today. But I don't think anything will keep him out of this if at all possible.
You can touch on this a minute ago, but now that you're actually know the schedule, is it better you're playing now as opposed to waiting a week? Is there some advantage there, disadvantage there?
I think the advantage is that, you know, we continue, we're in a rhythm, we're in a routine, and we'll continue our routine. And then plus on top of that, our school is off this week. So, you know, that will give us time to rest this week within the week. So I think that's kind of a hidden value to having fall break come at the time that is, and then we're going to play this week. So we have to look at the upside of all this and plan and play to the upside.
So Coach, this is the first time UNI's made the field not as a conference champion. How is that weird for you at all? I mean, that you haven't made it as an at-large?
It is unbelievable, is what it is. And first time ever that we go in as an at-large. I don't think anybody can explain that. Whether you've been sitting on the chairs of these committees or you're from UNI or you're from anywhere in the country, try to explain that. And it's hard to do. So we'll take it as the first one, but it really is hard to believe that it hasn't happened before. Anybody else? Thanks for coming in today, guys.